Speaking of homes kind of sitting on the market, there's an interesting scenario playing out in Niagara where for the first time since July of 2014, there are over 3,000 active listings. What is happening in Niagara?
Yeah, months of inventory is high. I don't know. Niagara is going through a major problem right now, and everybody's trying to sell their houses, and it's not selling. Niagara is probably one of the tougher markets right now, based versus. Well, you got to watch this segment. Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with RE/MAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton edition, with host Rick Zamperin.
Yes, good Saturday morning once again. This is 900 CHML, and this is the Golfi Real Estate Show with the one and only Rob Golfi, who is the headliner with the number one RE/MAX team in Canada, the Golfi team. 905-575-7700 is the phone number to call. If you want to get your house sold or you're in the market to buy a home, contact the Golfi team online at robgolfi.com. That's Rob, Golfi.com. Check out their content and some of the hottest listings in town on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok as well. We have a bunch of things we're going to get to on the show today. We're going to talk about a Hamilton homeowner who's really up against it, what you would sacrifice to pay rent. This is going to be an interesting discussion. We'll also talk about a lottery of sorts in regards to getting into a rental place or a home. Very interesting set of circumstances around that. But let's begin with what we usually do here on the Golfi Real Estate Show and talking about what is going on in the real estate life of Mr. Golfi.
Well, we're having a pretty decent month of June so far. But we got after this weekend, we'll find out what the final numbers are going to be. What's happening? I know we're outpacing the real estate board, us as a team, and but I know the inventory levels are climbing like crazy, and it's just there's a lot of houses for sale. You don't know if there's an election going on or there are houses for sale, but there is a lot of homes for sale, and it seems like a lot of the people are gearing, trying to get rid of their houses that their mortgages are coming up, and they know that they're going to get hit hard with the interest rates that there are now, and it's just incredible. I don't know what's gonna happen with this inventory, but it is a buyer's market, and we haven't had inventory levels like this for a long time. We're talking many years, and houses are sitting on the market. If you're overpricing it, you're going to be sitting. So so if you're a buyer, this is an opportune time to make some good deals. You'll find something good out there for yourself. But yeah, it is a different time. Like we're experiencing it. COVID has changed the dynamics of real estate every year for the last 4 years, 3 years. It's just like it's crazy how things have changed. Like you can't go there. There's no pattern here. There's nothing. It's just something new every time.
You mentioned that the Golfi team is outpacing the markets. You've sold more than 500 homes this year. And let's not forget, those who are listening, the Golfi team, the first team in Hamilton to sell over 1,000 homes in 1 year. Why have you, with all the fluctuations, the market conditions, waiting for the Bank of Canada, a somewhat active yet still kind of weird spring market, how have you been able to outpace the market?
You know what? We've got systems in place that attract some buyers and sellers, and it's basically pricing the houses right. Now we have a big inventory ourselves, and we've gone to people's homes and we suggested our price, and they would want to try their price. It'll hurt you if you do that. It will. Like the market is still good. And you will get what the market value is. So if your house is worth $600,000 and you pay and price it at $550,000, you will get $600,000. It's just what the market is. But if you put your house at $650,000 and your house is worth $600,000, it's going to sit and sit and sit, and then you're going to drop the price. So you do your first price drop, maybe $625,000, still nothing happens. You drop it down to $600,000. You know what? You start getting some showings. You might end up getting $580,000 to $590,000 for the house. So you really hurt yourself if you overprice your house and then start doing the price reductions. So and that's the one aspect of it. I know this one house I've been watching this house since like the beginning of this year, and because I priced it at 500 to 550, and they're at over 600,000, and it's sitting there on the market, and to me it's not a satisfaction that they're not selling. I'm curious to find out when they do sell, the satisfaction that I was right. And that, you know what I mean? Because then I know my business. I know this market. I know how it is. And you have to be careful. Like, we're walking away from people, saying, listen, you know what? We appreciate your business. I know there's, thousands of other realtors out there. They'll give you the high number if that's what you're looking for. But we're going to give you the real number. And right now there's a lot of houses out there for sale that are overpriced. And they're helping the ones that are priced right to sell.
Speaking of homes kind of sitting on the market, there's an interesting scenario playing out in Niagara, where for the first time since July of 2014, there are over 3,000 active listings. What is happening in Niagara?
Yeah, I don't know. Months of inventory is high. I don't know. Niagara is going through a major problem right now, and everybody's trying to sell their houses, and it's not selling. And but yeah, like Niagara is probably one of the tougher markets right now, based versus Hamilton, versus Brantford, versus Halton. I don't get it. Like, it's just, usually it's a more affordable market. People are going there, and a lot of GTA buyers are loving Niagara Falls and going there. But it is a tough market right now in Niagara.
Compared to 2.5 years ago, January 2022, there were 333 homes for sale in all of Niagara. There's 10 times as many homes for sale right now compared to 10 years ago.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I don't know how long this is going to last, but I think like, if you're looking at moving and you're in Niagara, you got to price it right on the nose. Otherwise, you're going to sit and you're going to be chasing the market, and you'll end up getting a lot less than what your real true value is, because you're going to stale date your property, your listing.
Speaking of overpricing or mispricing, even as little as $10,000 off the mark could make your home sit on the market for a while?
Absolutely, because there's a huge inventory, huge. We were just at one in Niagara, and they had their house listed at over 700,000, right? And so Daniel and I, my son, we went to this house, and we said, listen, you're not going to like what we're going to tell you, but we're giving you the truth. We're giving you we're being realistic, and we're being transparent. And we welcome you to call somebody else if the number is more important to you. Not a problem. So we basically said, your house should be at 600,000. And he says, well, I bought this for 550, and plus I put a lot of money into it. And I says, yeah, I know. And I said, I can lie to you and say list at 700 and let it sit for another 3 months, like you had before. And but we showed him all the other houses that sold similar to his, with garages, without garages. It was a bungalow, and he realized, and he was looking at these, and he's going, wow. And he's realizing he has to make a decision whether now, if he's willing to, probably take a little bit of a loss when he sells his house, or I said, you're going to have to stay here for another couple of years before you actually recoup everything that you got in there. And so he's going away on vacation. We'll find out when he comes back what direction he's going to go. And he wants to move back to Toronto. And I said, going back to Toronto is going to be even tougher, because when you're coming from Toronto towards Niagara, it's easy because the values are more expensive in Toronto than they are in Niagara. But now when you go reverse back, it's going to be even more crazy for you. You're not going to like it at all, and you may end up staying in Niagara for the rest of your life just because of the fact it's too expensive to go back to Toronto.
Yeah. So we're at the midway point of the year. It's the Canada Day long weekend. What is the prognosis, or what do you see in your crystal ball for the remainder of this year?
I do see things picking up, but I think sellers, if you're going to be on the market, you better price it right, and make sure it's the right price. The problem here with a lot of realtors, they base and give an evaluation based on other houses that are for sale. So you got 10 houses in the area that are for sale, but they're all overpriced. So now you got an agent that's using those numbers and saying, hey, well, these houses are this at, let's put your house at that number and see what happens. So now you got the 11th house on the market that's overpriced. You just got to look at the solds, see what the market's doing. You go back 60 to 90 days max. That's it. And try to find something very similar to it. You know, hopefully it's in the same neighborhood. You know, like there's different neighborhoods could be, you know, the value could be the identical house, but you know, some neighborhoods are better, so it would demand more money. So you got to look at that. But I do feel the second half of this year is going to be way better than it was in the first half of this year, and I think things will start turning around. And I feel for the people that bought houses in 2021 and the first part of 2022. Their houses are worth, they got mortgages that are higher than what the values of their houses are, and some of them know the renewals are coming up, and they won't be able to afford their mortgage. So they're starting to unload now. They're being smarter. They're not waiting and trying to hang on and make, you know, payments with their credit card on. You know, they're looking at it and say, listen, there is no chance for us to afford this house. We got to do something and get out. And it's sad because these people that bought these houses in 2021 and 22, they scrimped and scraped to save for the down payment, and now they're going to end up probably losing a lot of that. Now there is a lot of people with a lot of equity that are selling. And they're selling because, again, the mortgage rates, you know, they have equity, but their mortgage rates are going to be tough. So they're going to walk away, go rent, and they'll have a lot of cash in the bank. Let's hope that they don't blow it all, so that they have a chance to buy another house again when interest rates are a little better.
Before we get into this wild and wacky story about this newcomer to Hamilton, she's purchased a townhouse. She wants to move in. She can't because the tenants don't want to move out. Before we get to that story, I want to ask you this, Rob, just going back to some of the stats that we referenced in our opening segment about listings being so high, being a buyer's market. Because there's so many properties and homes to choose from, are there no more bidding wars? Because I would imagine that, listen, we have, as a home seeker, there's option A, B, C, D, E. And yeah, if we don't get this one, we're not going to go to war with a specific couple unless they really love the house. Where are we with bidding wars right now?
Bidding wars are still happening on houses that are completely done, beautifully done, and they're priced right. Mm-hmm. Bidding wars are happening. But there's a lot of overpriced houses, but bidding wars are happening. It just depends on pricing is everything when you put your house up for sale. It is everything. And you got to strategize when you do it. You got to know what you're doing and strategize and get it done right. There's the right day to list. There's the right day to do the hold the offers till. A lot of times I won't hold offers, but I'm actually holding offers in a certain way. And I usually list on a Thursday or Friday, and if there's any offers, we always say, we need 48 hours. So usually we might deal with offers on a Monday or Tuesday, and basically you want to list, especially in our market here where we are, you want to list on a Thursday or Friday, just because you want the GTA buyers and agents have the opportunity to come to Niagara or Hamilton or wherever they're going and get in there. But I mean the traffic's even worse on Saturdays and Sundays coming towards Hamilton, Niagara, but I don't know. But at least they have a day off to come in and look at houses. And so you want to make sure you open up the door for everybody, the local people, the local agents, and the GTA agents and the GTA people. And that's the key factor there. And if you get the broad range of people looking at it and it's priced right, you're going to get multiple offers on it. And people aren't like bidding, $100,000, $200,000 like they did before. They're bidding, maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe 40,000. So you got to be careful on pricing it. It's very, very important.
All right, let's shuffle off to this story, and this is really an eyebrow raiser and a bit of a head scratcher as well, but there is a reason for it, and we're seeing it time and time again. Here's a woman who lost her job. She was living in Mississauga, couldn't afford the mortgage payments anymore, and she thought, hey, you know what, let's move to Hamilton, more affordable. She found a 2-story townhome on Ellis Avenue in the east part of town, and was going to move in on June the 6th. Unfortunately for her, the tenants who are still living in the home refused to leave, even though they have received eviction notices. And now this individual, and this whole story is chronicled in the Hamilton Spectator. It's very well written. She's now living out of her car. So the home she purchased, she can't even live in because the tenants won't leave. And this really speaks to the massive backlog at the landlord and tenant board. And she doesn't have a hearing until late summer, like August something. This is really tragic, Rob.
It's terrible. Like, look what this is. Look what's happening now. The government can change this. They can fix this, but they just choose not to. You know, they said, yeah, we hired more adjudicators and stuff like that. It's not enough. Like in British Columbia, there's shorter wait times for hearings compared to Ontario. Dispute resolutions. Most disputes are scheduled for hearings within a few weeks to a couple of months. And urgent issues, expedited processes are available for urgent matters such as those involving health and safety concerns. So some cases may be resolved more quickly through mediation and arbitration. So, like, if BC can do this, why can't Ontario? They just need to hire more. We do have more cases, but people are taking advantage of the situation here, and it's messing people up in Ontario with the way they have this thing set up with the landlord-tenant board.
One of the comments from one of the tenants that the Spectator spoke to says, quote, "I'm not going to leave just because she bought a house. I know my rights as a tenant. I don't think somebody who buys a house can just kick people out onto the street." That's pretty startling.
It is. You know what? Like, the more you get of this, eventually the tables are going to turn, and eventually this person will be out faster than you think. All the problems that are happening right now, it's just going to come to a point where the government has no choice but to do something. This is hurting actually future entrepreneur investors, like young investors. Yeah. Like when I was 20 years old and I bought my first rental property, if I went through this, I would have been so devastated and bankrupt. If somebody wasn't paying their rent, damaging the house, it would have been like $10,000, $15,000. I know people are losing thousands and thousands of dollars because tenants aren't moving out or not paying rent. And they can't get away with that. They should not get away with that. But the government is allowing them to do that. And that's why, look, people are there's assaults, there's people getting killed, there are so many bad things that are happening out there. They can control that, you know what I mean? And if they do that, I mean, they're getting paid. Like it's not like when you apply for a landlord-tenant eviction, it costs money. It's not like they have to give money to do this. It's not like it's costing them anything. It's costing the landlord or the tenant to apply for eviction or to apply to get things done. That has to be paid. So it's not like it's costing the government any money. They're making money from it. And I just don't understand why they don't do it more. But it is going to affect the future. And I'll tell you, every tenant that's doing this, they will have a hard time finding a place to live. They're eventually going to get kicked out. They will get kicked out. It's going to happen. Once they go to the landlord-tenant board, the sheriff's going to come in and they're going to say, you got to get out right now. It's locked, and that's it. And they'll give you maybe an hour to move your stuff out of there. And then guess what? The landlord's going in there. He's going to get a bin and he's going to just throw everything in the garbage because he's the one that's lost probably tens of thousands of dollars. But the thing is, it's going to change. It's going to change, and it's going to affect. And now that person there, you don't think their name is going to be online? There's that open room. The tenants that are it shows anybody that went to landlord-tenant board and didn't pay their rent or didn't want to leave. Their name's online now. You know what? We check it as with our property management company. We'll check that to see if they've been evicted by someplace else, and we'll do a credit check on them. And believe me, it will show up. These people here that are causing problems, they're hurting their future. They will not be able to get an apartment. They're going to be homeless. And guess what? Because of them thinking that they have more rights than anybody else does.
I mean, you're in this game of being a property owner, being a landlord, buying, selling homes. If you were starting out today Would you want to become a landlord knowing what you know of the situation now with this massive backlog at the landlord-tenant board and many tenants just not paying any rent because they know they can get rent-free accommodations for months before the board even sees the case?
Absolutely. You know what? It's tough. And we know some people that do not want to go down that road. And you know what? And the thing is, what happens is a lot of people want to save money by, they'll rent it out themselves and they see a nice young couple coming with a baby and they say, oh, this looks like a nice couple. This is perfect. They'll be a great tenant. Meanwhile, they're the worst nightmare tenants you'll ever have. So you got to do the credit check. Make sure you get a credit check from them. Make sure you find out where they're working. Check the last 2 places where they lived. You know what? Right now, tenants are bringing, and you got to be careful. And we check this out. Tenants are coming in and applying, and meanwhile, it's not them applying. It's their family, friend, or whoever, because they've got a good credit rating. And they let these other people move in. But I'll tell you, if those guys are coming in, I take a picture of their license plate, their driver's license, social insurance number. If they got a good credit rating, they will not have a good credit rating if they're trying to help their friends out, trying to screw a landlord. So you got to be very, very careful. Like, hire people, the right people, to find the right tenants for you. You will have an easy time, and your investment will be good. We do that. I've had none of these nightmare stories happen to me. Knock on wood. You know what I mean? I haven't had it, and but because we do a thorough check, and the ma and pa landlord. They don't do that. They go by feelings and they go by looks, and they don't do the credit check. You cannot do that. You got to get somebody professional to look and check these people out, and then you can have a great investment. The average tenant, like, I've got tenants that have been living in some of my properties for 10 years, and I raise their rents, whatever the 2%, whatever the required amount is, just because we know, cost is going up, and they're living there, no problems, everything's good, and I haven't had any issues. And if anything needs to be fixed, we take care of it. So mutually, it's a good relationship, landlord tenant. But yeah, there are more good tenants than bad tenants out there. It's just you got to pick them right.
Speaking of tenants, and I do understand the situation in which, some of these, in this case, the homeowner is going to move in, the tenants have to move out, and their argument is there's nowhere to go. Like, the rental rate is so high in many cases, there's not many vacancies out there. I'm probably going to end up in a tent in a park somewhere in Hamilton. That's not where they want to be. And there was a recent survey or report issued from Royal LePage. It says the majority of Canadian renters, according to their survey, use more than 30% of their net income for rent. And in one case, and this is a story in a recent article, shows that this woman pays 100% of her income on rent, which is nuts. Like, her monthly rent is nearly $2,700 for a 3-bedroom townhouse. Rental rates are sky high, and that's part of the issue. Part of the issue is there's not enough rental properties out there. The supply has dwindled.
It has, and the problem is once those people leave that townhouse, they go in. You can't find the same thing again. Now they have to go to an apartment building. So now they traded their townhouse with a nice little backyard. They can have a little barbecue in the backyard, but now they have to go to a building. And now they're kind of condensed into this condo building or apartment building, and they don't have the same as they did before. And that's what's happening. That's what's hurting all these people that are being evicted from their houses. New buyers are coming into the market. They want to buy the house. They want to move in. They want to start their family there and whatever. Now the current tenants that are there, they're getting pushed out. And guess what? There's nothing they can find in their price point. And now they're going to be moving out to an apartment building. And you know what? It's when you're going from a house to an apartment building, it's not an easy move, and it's terrible. And I get it. It's a tough situation. And you know what? It's just what Canada is in now, in a crisis, and the government's trying to figure things out. But the government put us in this situation, and now we got to fix it. And it's going to take 10, 20 years to fix. This is not an overnight fix. When you're dealing with houses you can't just manufacture houses and you got them coming off the assembly line. It takes time. And the government's always making it forever to get approvals for subdivisions and everything else like that. It is a bad situation out there for tenants, especially they're being evicted.
And here's the issue too. This is only going to get worse, because how many times have we spoken on this show about developers walking away from whatever project they're working on because interest rates are sky high? I mean, this delay at the landlord and tenant board, even though they've hired more adjudicators, I think it's going to get even worse in the next 5 years.
It is, and it's not going to be good. It's because the immigrants are still coming into this country. You're going to see neighborhoods get really run down, and it's going to look terrible in Toronto. There's people renting rooms in a house. There's 5 people in a room. They're sleeping on mattresses. You don't even know who you're sleeping, that's next to you on different mattresses in the room. They got people sleeping in cars in the driveway. They're renting a little bit of space, because you can't just park anywhere, because the police will knock on your window and say, hey, you can't sleep here in the parking lot. So that's what's happening in Toronto right now. It's a mess. Streets are getting filled up with cars because there's more than 5-10 people living in one house. And we're going to see that in our market here in Hamilton, Burlington, in Niagara. We're going to start seeing that, and that's going to happen within 10 years. And it's not going to be pretty when it happens.
There was or is an apartment building in Toronto where the city and this developer launched a lottery for rental units at a much reduced rate. And they had about 12,000 people come out to try their hand at this lottery to get one of these units. There was 135 units in this building that were listed well below the average rental rate in Toronto, which in May was about $2,500. And these things were going for about $1,000 less per month. High priority item. We're going to talk about this story after the break, and we're also going to get into a crazy long fight that a Montreal tenant has finally settled on with a real estate developer in Montreal. All right, to Toronto we go. There was a developer, an apartment building in Toronto, selling lottery tickets for greatly reduced apartment units. The average price of an apartment unit in Toronto is about $2,500. At least that was the price back in May. These one-bedroom units were going for $1,589 per month, plus utilities, but still a huge bargain. So they had 135 of these units available. More than 12,000 people applied to get one of these units. No surprise, this was a hot ticket, Rob.
Oh, no kidding. And that shows you how many people are trying to find a break in this world.
Yeah.
It's and the thing is, I get it. People are applying for it, but they still have to qualify. They still, you still have to have a good credit report. It's not like you get it automatically. Right. But yeah, that shows you the demand out there. People want to get out of Nobody wants to leave where they are because they don't want to end up in a place that the rent is going to jump, especially the newer buildings. Anything that's built in after November of 2018, you can raise the rents. That's not under rent control. So you don't want to go near those buildings. You just want to say, hey, when was this built? Okay, it was built in 2017. Okay, you're fine. You're going to be under the rent control. But anything after November 2018, you move into one of those, they can raise your rent $200 for every month for the next, because they're not under rent control. And that was the only way that the government can get developers to build apartment buildings, because they weren't building it because of the rent control. So it's like, see, they let things go too far, and now it's causing problems. But if they bring rent control back again for those new buildings, guess what? You're not going to see another bunch of apartments being built for another 40, 50 years. And then the crisis just continues. But but yeah, like it's like to qualify for that and the amount of people, it shows you that it's a tough situation out there. And I bet you people applied 2 or 3 lottery tickets or probably bought 10. Mm-hmm. You know, you buy a pack. Hey, buy 10 for $5 or whatever. I don't know, whatever they did. But but yeah, like it's definitely there's a demand there for all that. And these guys that are developers that are building it, they had to probably build these and they got the approval because that they were giving discounted build apartments.
You're probably right. So I mentioned the price of a 1-bedroom unit in this building, and again, it's called the Galleria. 1 bedroom is $1,589 a month plus utilities. 2-bedroom, $1,828 a month, compared to the average in Toronto, $3,300, and a 3-bedroom would be just over $2,050 instead of $3,720. The odds of winning one of these units, though, because there's only 135 units available, more than 12,000 people applying, is about 1%.
Yeah.
The odds are not great.
No,
not great at all.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So, I mean, some people are just saying, forget it. There's no chance they're going to get it. There's no, you know, I mean, if they get it, great. And some of them have to relocate probably pretty far to just get that, if they do win. And because if anything they can do to save money, they're going to try for sure.
So let's go to Montreal, and this is a fascinating story where a woman there who was living in an apartment building, after a 5-year battle with the developer, with the real estate firm, if you will, has finally agreed to move out, and she's also getting $20,000 to leave. Basically, at the end of the day, this apartment building was built. They asked her to go as they were redeveloping things in and around the building. Basically a typical renoviction, if you will. And she said no. And she held firm for 5 years and is not only, I believe, in a new place, but also $20,000 into her bank account just for leaving. I mean, this is intestinal fortitude at its greatest.
Oh yeah, she was tough. But she also had a lawyer that I think probably did a lot of the legal work for no cost.
Yeah.
And but not only that, she fought it because she knew she couldn't find another place for what she was paying. But eventually, the developer got another place for her, $20,000 plus another place that the rent was pretty cheap at a different property that he had. Now, the city do need these properties torn down and built for new housing, because when they take down an apartment building, they may take down a 6-story apartment building, but then they put a 25-story there. So they're actually adding more housing, but it is more expensive to rent. There's no doubt about it. But this lady here, she was standing tough, and she knew a lawyer that was willing to do it. And she had, 5 years later, she finally, you know, basically, I would say she won. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And but it was a long battle. Like, she probably was stressed out, and she was probably the only one left in the building. You know what I mean? So that building cost a lot of money for that developer just to probably have that one person in there, because they still have to heat the building. You can't have the pipes freeze because all of a sudden she's going to be, you know, water all over the place. But yeah, she held out, and there's a lot of people trying to do that everywhere. But it's, you know, the law is the law, I guess. So.
And anyone wondering why she didn't want to leave? Well, her rent was $400 a month. And so she was thinking, I'm not moving anywhere. I want to keep paying $400. But she's off to another place, has $20,000 in her bank account as well. So many times on this show, we've talked about the bank of mom and dad. You know, little Johnny, a little Susie, they got a family. They want to move into a home. They're sick of renting. Maybe have that school debt. They can't afford the down payment. So the request is, please, mom and dad, open the bank vault. We need some cash. We need some help to pay the down payment. And now first-time homebuyers in Ontario are getting as much as $128,000 from the bank of mom and dad. That's way higher, 31% higher than just a few years ago. No surprise here, Rob. I mean, house prices have gone up, and so kids are asking their parents to help out.
They are, yeah. And it's I'll tell you, if you're lucky enough to have parents or grandparents that are willing to help you out, get a house, that's another lottery pretty well, because a lot of people don't have that privilege. And but what it's happening is they're saying that the impact of a wealth gap. So there's kids that are having that opportunity to own a house now. Now they're on their way and set to go in life, and now they own a property, and their wealth is going to start building. But the other people that don't have help from parents or whoever or friends, they're going to be renting for a long time, and it's going to be tough for them to even catch up or get ahead to own a house, because as housing prices keep going up, like they're chasing that dream. So okay, today average house is $800,000. Okay, now they're saving their money. Let's say they need 5% or whatever, $35,000. Well, in 2 years from now, let's say the house is $1 million. So now they got to save more money again. So they're chasing that dream, and it could take 20 years for them to do it. And it's just exhausting for people to do, because they keep putting money away. And meanwhile, house prices are going up faster than they can save for the down payment. And you're going to see a lot of that. But like I said, you know what? You won the lottery if you have parents that can help you out and purchase a house, because you basically stopped inflation, because now your house is going to go up in value, and you're going to benefit from that.
The numbers in this report come from CIBC, and it shows that 36% of first-time home buyers in Ontario use gifts to cover all or a portion of their down payments. And in Ontario, again, I mentioned that number, $128,000, the average gift. That is up by 52% over the last 5 years. I don't know where, who's got the bank of mom and dad that there's $128,000 laying around. That's nuts.
That's a lot of money. I know. Like somebody, so you know what? Some of these parents are probably refinancing their houses or getting line of credits, and just to help out their kids, because they know they got to get them into a house. And but I get it. Like, you know what? It's the only way you're going to be able to afford a house in Canada now. Like, it's just expensive.
By the way, that number in BC is $204,000, up 90% from just a couple of years ago. We'll end with this, and that is artificial intelligence. Real estate agents, more and more of them, using AI to virtually stage homes. Rob, how popular is virtual home staging?
Virtual home staging is very popular, but it's what you see online. But when you get to the house, it could be empty or whatever. We use virtual staging. Also, we use real staging. We currently have over 30 homes staged right now ourselves as with our listings. Oh. Yeah, it's a lot of houses. I furnished 30 homes out there. Can you believe that? That's crazy. That's a lot of furniture. I could open up my own furniture warehouse right now. We do have a warehouse full of furniture. So, but the one thing is, virtual staging is great when you're looking online, but it doesn't give you the true feel when you're there in person. When you're there in person, if you don't have anything, it's hard. Sometimes some people have a hard time visualizing, but the online virtual staging is going to become more and more popular. But the real thing is definitely a lot better thing. But we use virtual staging all the time. Yeah.
Do you have to say, hey, this is virtual?
Yes, on the picture, the photograph has to say that it is virtually inputted, so that people know it's not real, and and so they don't assume all that. Yeah,
you're not getting people coming to the house thinking, oh, I like that couch that was here. Yeah. Online.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's actually more of a disappointment when they go there and they don't see the house looking like that. So virtual staging can hurt the listing too. So you have to be very, very careful on how much you virtually stage, because people go there and it's a disappointment, and like, well, wait a minute, like the grass was greener in the picture when I saw it. There was no telephone wires behind, and now because they kind of got rid. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave them there. You can't erase that. But yeah, it could be a big disappointment if you virtually stage too much in that house.
Well, I guarantee you will not be disappointed if you call the Golfi team at 905-575-7700 or head over to their website, robgolfi.com. That's robgolfi.com to get your home sold in this buyer's market, as we learned here on the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton Edition on 900 CHML.
Yeah, picking the wrong realtor, that'd be a big mistake. That cost me money.
Hi, Rob here, and hey, we get it. we get that the right realtor makes all the difference. My advice, talk to 3 realtors, including one from the Golfi team. Compare and you'll see no one gets results like Golfi because of the millions we invest in marketing, getting you the most money in the least amount of time.
The Golfi team, Golfi gets it sold.
Pick the right realtor. Just Google Golfi.